with us here a very well-known author, the author who tied up with Joe Vitale and wrote The Prosperity Factor, which became one of the bestsellers. And then in 2019, Dr. Kate Janik went on to publish another book titled The True Story of the Spiritual Awakening of Lord Ganesha. The reason why she is here, of course, is this academic bend of mine, because we are looking for people who are in industry, people who are entrepreneurs and practitioners who have an academic bend of mind and who would help us give insights as to how we can get over in this COVID age in the area of education especially. Dr. Kate Janik runs an organization called JK Luxury European Products, which focuses on bringing to the world handmade in Europe, 100% pure, organic, natural and healthy cosmetics. And again, she's a social entrepreneur. She does a lot of work for the underprivileged. She's been doing a lot of good work for farmers who are committing suicides in India because of assorted reasons. It's a real pleasure to have with us here. Before she got into this, of course, she was into luxury tourism, so that's kind of a big change getting into areas like these. Righto. So tell us, Kate, I'll start with a very obvious question which people in India would be particularly interested to know. How has Greece coped with, COVID-19, particularly in the area of education?
Yes, so thank you very much for the intro. I really appreciate it. And yes, you are right. I truly enjoy to help and advise people around the world in any condition they find themselves at, either entrepreneurial challenges or even human challenges as we all face. Now, in Greece, COVID-19 was actually pretty doing well in comparison with other European countries. They had one of the least cases. They had only 5,000 positive tested cases. Right. So that's not many. And over 200 casualties, 200 deaths. So the morbidity rate and the casualty rate was very, very low. It's one of the lowest in Europe. However, we are now at summer season here. So the tourism, which is a very important part of Greek economy, tourist season open and start tourists traveling here from all around the world. And the cases are rising every day now. Also positive tests and also a little bit mortality rate. Mm-hmm. So in this case, of course, it shows very clearly that the self-isolation and all those measures, we had lockdown measures in a pandemic, was really necessarily indeed we couldn't do without, because now we can see that clearly. Once people move around and once they socialize, the rates are getting higher. And we have the numbers to back that up. So today we are actually, Greece is in the stage of accepting new measures about COVID. And right. By the August 15, there will be completely new measures accepted. And there are also very strong rumors that about 90% will be confirmed 15th of August, that there will be no more schooling, traditional schooling for 2020 year. So the children will continue homeschooling from now on.
Okay. How have the students, the children, the teachers, they have coped with this scenario, this homeschooling, online education? Have they done a good job, or is it like, all of a sudden this has been forced on us? It's been the same experience here as well. So how have things been in Greece?
Well, obviously, this is a really extreme case of all human race around the world. In completely independently from where you live, the homeschooling is always a huge issue, which is not only one parameter that can cause the issue. It's a chain of parameters that are negative, of course, obviously, and we do not even know if they are reversible. So the number one problem is that, let's start with teachers. Teachers in Greece, when it happened in March, they had a choice. Either they would like to continue teaching through online platforms, or they don't have to. So they had option. It was not if one teacher said, I don't want to teach, it wouldn't be. So the children of that teacher will have no classes.
Okay, that's
The
good.
teachers, yes, so that was the optional. Now, because of course nobody can make you to tell you buy a computer, be on a platform, learn the skills, and so on and so on. Nobody can oblige you to do that.
Absolutely,
So if you
yes.
say I don't have the monetary power to buy a computer, I don't live in an area where I have internet, so how come I'm supposed to do that?
And I may not have that aptitude as well. I mean, to learn that.
Exactly.
If I'm not good at math, I can never do good sums. I mean, it's like that, you know.
Exactly. So nobody can really oblige you to do that as a teacher, to go and do it. It's up to you, because to be a teacher, you have different requirements. You have to pass university, you have to pass the test, and then you have to show up in the school and do your job there. So everything else beyond is your option. It's optional. So many teachers chose not to, and many teachers chose yes. So with time, for example, in April, it would be about 60% teachers wouldn't do anything. But in May, they already realized that children are really losing a lot of time, and they started to join more and more. So by the end of May, we had maybe 80% of teachers teaching already. So very few portions of children had no classes, online classes in Greece. But you have to think that Greece is in the middle of Europe, or it's basically South Europe. It's a European country, and it's very well technologically advanced, and it's completely normal for every teacher to have a laptop or computer or internet access in the house.
Right.
So it was a possibility. Now, of course, if you compare with other geographical areas, the options and the possibilities are completely different, and you cannot compare.
Right.
So in Greece, it was possible, and that's why we had a good number, which is a good number, 80%, in comparison with other places around the world, which is normal. Right. However, how children cope with that, this is the different part of the story. Overall, children become more lazier, of course, it's their holidays. And they just do 1 hour of a Skype call or any platform call. They listen to the teacher, they reply to a few questions, and that's it. Because even the Skype calls or all those video conferences, they had to be limited to a certain number of students. So if you had, let's say, 20 students in the class, the teacher was able only to do it with 5 students at
Absolutely.
a time.
Yes.
So the teacher had to do 4 sessions every day, repeating 4 times the same thing in the course of a day. It was much more work for the teachers, and obviously they took less money than normally. So it was truly a very bad situation, and for the teacher and for children, because the overall impact of the knowledge was much lower. It's not possible for a child to spend 5 hours in school or 6 hours in school. Has a totally different impact than be 1 hour on a Skype call where you can see your parents in the house or somebody, you have
absolutely,
all these
absolutely
around you.
Distractors, yeah.
So the impact is terrible in both cases. Now, the third problem is the parents, because not everybody in Greece has nannies. We don't usually, in our culture, we don't do that. And most of the women are working women, because in Europe, women work. So now suddenly they had to have this kind of choice, what to do, stay home and lose my wages if you could work, because many jobs still continued in COVID. Okay. So many parents actually, if they worked in their own business, would take the children with them somehow in isolated area, and they would continue their job, and the children will wait somewhere in the background. For example, if a mother had a shop, she would leave the child somewhere behind the store, and she would still continue her job. Yes. But the child would spend time completely non-productively, not studying, not without supervision, and the parents who didn't have that option will have to literally quit the job and take the little supplement from the government, which is very ridiculous. It's about, I don't know, it was about 400 euro per month, which in Greece is very little. You cannot even pay rent for that. So basically, it wouldn't cover any of your expenses. So then suddenly families faced financial issues, which of course, it was longer time. We will talk about bankruptcies, we will talk about debts, we will talk about homelessness, we will talk about one chain reaction that will be extremely negative on social economical value on level of whole society. So
Right.
thank God it was not a long term. However, pandemic, it never lasts for a few months. So we know that autumn, where the bacteria likes, cold weather, the bacteria might spread more. And in that scenario, all this will be continuing and the situation will only get worse. And not only that, I read a lot of studies on neuroscience, which is about humans. How do they cope in self-isolation?
Right.
Now, we do not really have a lot of studies on humans, but we have some studies which are only 1 year old, so very new, that come from American Society of Neuroscience.
Okay.
And they basically say that on rodents, when they self-isolated rodents, 20% of neurons in the brain were reduced in 1 month.
Oh my God.
And in 3 months, 25%, which basically neurons control all our brain function, all our sensory and all our motorics.
Absolutely.
So imagine how much damage happens to children that have very fast metabolism, because this was done on adult rodents, not on baby rodents or young rodents.
Right.
So if we apply this science on humans, which we do not have data for that, we automatically know that there is a huge damage that with time affects mitochondria, DNA repair, and actually eventually leads to mental illnesses and disorders and physical illnesses and disorders.
Absolutely.
So in children, I believe the impact is more severe because the metabolism is faster. And because children adapt very fast, they actually lose the brain activity and the motoric activity faster than adults. So we do not even know, and there are no studies nowhere in the world, if there is a possibility of a reversal of when the damage occurs, if we can actually reverse it with time afterwards, if we change the circumstances. Because human is a social animal. And as a social animal is bound to live around humans. We do not get any impulses in our brain if we just passively receive information. So if you read, if you watch TV, your brain is not working. It's just passively there, but it doesn't have any impulses to work. We only work when we interact, question, answer, question, answer. That's when the brain is exercised as a muscle. And that's when the neurons are produced and everything is healthy and works healthy. So if we don't have this activity, how is possible with 1 year damage, 2 year damage? How we gonna reverse this in children and in adults? Because eventually lockdowns create more stupid human race, either we like it or not, it is true. So this is the huge issue I see on any pandemic or on any lockdown situation. The biggest problem is the self-isolation, because it leads to many diseases, depressions, and suicides, obviously.
Now that's a very, a very unique and wonderful perspective, Kate, because I have been speaking to a lot of educators in this series, and I'll be speaking to more, of course. And, many of them have been very positive about this because, they've been saying we've been over-socializing, we've been doing things too much, and this is like nemesis, a God or Almighty or the superpower has taught us how to behave now. So this is a very different perspective from that. So you are basically saying that this is not good, right?
No,
so this is not good.
Terrible. Terrible for human race, terrible for children, terrible for future generations. And it's not depending on the area where we live. It's all human race independently of where do we live.
And that makes sense, Kate, because you have had a wonderful and wide exposure of cultures. Your PhD is also about, interlinguistics and intercultural area. So I think you are one of the best persons perhaps to look at this from a holistic point of view, not just from the place where you represent, but the entire world and communities across the world, right?
Yes, exactly. I never see humans as based per country or based per nation or ethnic group or anything. I always see human race as one race. And
Right.
I believe we are really all the same, completely the same. Even in my company, which is a skincare company, organic
Mm,
company today, I
mm.
believe all humans have the same skin. We are
Okay.
not different. So the differences are from based on your way, how you live, based on the food you eat, based on the people you
True.
interact. These are our differences. There is no other difference. If you put me in your lifestyle and your family and your background, I will be you. Yes, there is no difference. So this is the exactly thing. We need to see human race as one race, and we need to treat humans completely independently on the geographical location as one unit, as one biological unit. If we do that, we can actually make solutions for all humans based on those data we try to reach. But you see, we try to believe that we are very advanced human race, that we are very intelligent, we have great technology, we have artificial intelligence, we have robotics, we have blockchain technologies and all these things. But in reality, in medicine, we are extremely primitive. We still
Absolutely.
didn't make any science, neuroscientific studies on self-isolation, whereas the first lesson the children will have in a primary school on biology will be human is a social animal. That will be the first sentence the teacher will say to the children. Yet there is no research which actually says, what if we are not a social animal? What if we separate? What's happening? And can we reverse it or not? There are no answers. This research, I told you, is 1 year old.
Right.
It's 2020. Where are we?
Absolutely.
We did last 50 years, 100 years. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
So,
Yes.
yeah, so for me, we need to see COVID as a reminder of how we lived until now, take from it the information it gave us, meaning, yes, we lived irresponsibly. It is true. We as a human race were living very irresponsibly. There were no precautions of hygiene anywhere. Not in schools, not in shops, not in airplanes, nowhere. So every time the children will start school in autumn, half of the class will be missing because they will have flu. Oh yes, I was saying about the school stuff. What should
Right.
be now? So in my mind,
Hmm.
I believe that the mask as such, the personal mask, either it's a plastic or material or any, it's not really solution for a child to be 5 hours in school with,
Correct.
because the oxygenating of the brain does not happen under proper circumstance. Even in a normal, for doctors, for surgeons, they always recommend every 10 minutes to lift it, to take a deep breath and then again apply it.
Yes.
So we need to find a solution that will be more practical. Something I could imagine, something like a transparent cell, which is gonna be like folded or unfolded, and every person can have their own. And basically we will get into a classroom, which
Right.
will of course will have to be with less people every time. So
Right.
classrooms of 30 children and up, impossible. Forget even classroom with 20 children. I
Right.
believe classrooms will exist in the future with 10 children,
Mhm.
and we will all have kind of like a cell, like a plastic or transparent cell that will be our own space, which we will sit inside, and we will always protect others and ourselves, and we can still interact, be there in the same room with them, have our normal functions and exist, but be protected at most times. Of course, we are not meant to live in isolated areas, and we are not meant to live in a sterile environment. We will die. One bacteria interaction will kill us afterwards. So we still need to get our flus, and we still need to get ill sometimes. So in order for the body to function normally and to have some kind of healthy immune system.
Right.
However, we can reduce it very much to bare minimum, so we can still exist as humans and mainly have a healthy mental and physical health by social interaction, which is necessary for our well-being.
But definitely, as you rightly pointed out, and as a communication, cross-cultural communication expert also, we will obviously need to rework and redefine what we mean by personal distance, social distance. These will all have to be redefined in the years to come. Okay, now we are running out of time. So one question that I would I'd like to ask you at this stage is both Greece and India, we are the oldest civilizations. So how do you see these two civilizations coping with the scenario in the future? Are we really going to come out of this and get going? Where do you see us in the next maybe 5 years or 10 years from now?
Well, I think all planet will be very much impacted by COVID. Every single change in the world always is reflected in the future. So COVID will have a tsunami effect, and we still don't know what is the tsunami effect of COVID.
Right.
And it will happen everywhere, and Greece and America, Africa, everywhere. So independently of our civilizations and our rich cultural background and inheritance, maybe we'll have the advantage of coping faster with certain things and inventing faster solutions than other countries that do not have such a huge ancient civilization and culture and the scientific base, But irrelevant to that, we will need to face issues. We will need to change our point of view and attitude towards life and towards certain precautions that we neglected. You see, I will give as an example 9/11 in America.
Yes.
When it happened, it changed everything in the flight industry.
Absolutely.
We now have security in the airports and so on. I think COVID will bring something like that. Will change the way how we interact with other people, but we need to interact with other people. So we need to find a way how to do it safer, but how to do it. The solution is not separate through digital communication. We cannot forget the internet is used by 1.5 billion people today, but we have 8 billion of humans. So it's impossible to even think of that scenario as a solution. It's not a solution. It's a temporary fix for certain countries, for certain areas. And even here, Lucy, I am in Greece and I have now electricity power cut. It's not a solution. It's not a solution. So solution is definitely going back to schools, starting standard education that works well, and we know works well because we do that for many hundreds of years, and really implement certain differences, tiny differences that are healthy. They're not going to harm us in the future, because truly I believe if the children will go to school with masks, they are not going to end up being healthy. This is not a healthy solution. It's a small fix that will create different problems in the future. So nothing is permanent, and nothing cannot be implied with seeing the permanent fix. We need more permanent solutions for that.
Right. So I think, so as you pointed out correctly, that the way we interact with people, there has to be a transformation in that if we are to survive. But, apart from that, what we are also talking about in a big way is issues like minimalism. We have been, overspending. We've been very extravagant. Okay, we have our child's wedding and we spend millions. So I think we will have to rework in those areas. I think that's what you said and what I'm saying are converging, because at the end of the day, it's the show off. And we like to show people that, we have a lot of money and we can spend, right? So I think at the end of the day, this issue of minimalism and how we interact with each other, they're connected in a big way.
Yes, and this is a very positive impact. I think there is no need to show off and to always compete with others. This is not the way how humans should behave in any way. The belief that you are one with others, that you are not better than anybody else, that you are brother, sister of everybody, independently where they live and who they are, that we are one, it's extremely healthy benefit and a healthy approach for any child and adult. And once you believe that, you stop having a competitiveness, you stop having the show off, you stop having the behavior of a new rich, you stop chasing just the money and the fame. You simply land to your 2 feet and you define your priorities, and you understand who you are as a human being, that you are part of a whole and not you are the whole. The world is not about one person or his wallet or money. When we die, we all die and we don't take
Absolutely.
nothing with us. So we need to land on our 2 feet and become more human, become more humble. And
Right.
of course, COVID showed us this. The priority ladder changed brutally in COVID. People understood the value of the family. Some people redefined their families because
Absolutely.
they totally lost the connection with the families. They just had work and career, and they didn't know there are some other 3 people living with them. And now suddenly in the lockdown, they realize they have people in the house and they have to talk to them, and they never talk to them. So it was difficult for some people. Some people divorced after COVID, and some people renewed their relationship in COVID. So there was this filter, with social filter, which was really beneficial, I believe. So of course, like I said, we will never be the same. The planet Earth will never be the same after COVID, because it's never the same anyway. Everything is changing every millisecond. So everything what happens now changes the future, correct? What happens today changes tomorrow. So the world will never be the same, and we cannot look at it back. Shall we go back to somewhere? There, what was back there, it's past and it's gone. So what is now affects the future. So that's why I say, let's work with what is now. And now we have this extremely precious data that we didn't have until now, or at least there, it was there, but we pretended we don't see it. So now we see it. And now it's up to us how we move from here forward. But we have to move forward. There is, for me, lockdown is not a solution. We are intelligent enough as human race to find a way how to protect ourselves and yet live our life as a social animal, which is necessary for us.
Right.
That's the challenge.
Right. Okay, Kate, it's been a really a wonderful interaction, and you gave us some, very down to earth yet very thought-provoking insights. And many of them are kind of unconventional, because as I was telling you, that the conventional wisdom is there are a lot of positives, but you are among the few who have actually, called a spade, and that is, it's actually, a scenario where the negatives far outnumber the positives, and we will have to, in the first place, recognize that fact to proceed forward. So.
Look, I don't want to sound like a negative person. No, I am a very positive person on my own. That's why I also love India, because India always teaches a lot of positive way of lifestyle and thinking.
Yes.
But I don't say this is the end of the world. No, I just say this is the situation, and let's work with it and find a solution. I don't say this is the end of the world. It will be end of the world if it's like this, and if we continue and we pretend we don't see the consequences in the future. But I say, let's not praise the digital world, because humans are not digital robots. We are humans. And information, even now, when I speak to you, I get certain information from you, and you get certain information from me. But if you were sitting here next to me, your body, your brain, our cells will also capture the energetic field of our bodies, and we will exchange different information.
Absolutely.
If we were tete-a-tete. So that information, even though it's not visible to our 5 senses, but that information is very vital to human. Right. It's very important for our well-being. So that is why I say interaction is important.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. And it would be lovely to, have you with us again on some other issue, maybe on social entrepreneurship or something. Right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Right. Okay. Stay safe and stay good. Yeah. Bye.
You too. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.